So this is the self-development with tactics. Book.
This one's gonna be about Tim Ferriss' Tools of Titans. Or is it actually Tools of Titan? No, I really don't. But with that being said, hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with fucking Tactics podcast. I'm fucking pumped to be here again. It is just a little bit weird because yesterday I wasn't recording, and it is always fucking weird when I'm just, leaving a day out and then I'm recording on another day. It just feels somehow strange, at least a little bit, but I'm fucking pumped to be here. And as you can see, my room is fucking tidied up, so it is really looking nice. I gotta have to kind of tap myself on the back. It's been I think a pretty productive day, so far up to this point, because now I was a little bit wasting time with actually making the posts for tomorrow. Some of them because I wanted to try out some new software or some other software to actually do them, to actually make them somehow different, so that I'm not only just, doing the same exact thing over and over and over again, because for sure, you're gonna develop certain patterns and certain things you just, really like by aesthetics, and then you're gonna use them all the fucking time. And so I got a thought I gonna change it a little bit up and see what I can do with Cinema 4D. If you know the software, it's just actually a 3D program, but it can also practically do 2D things, but I think I'm gonna mix them up. So I do just have to see, how I'm going to render them out, so it's not gonna take just way too long, and or the quality is not too bad, I do just also want to have good quality in terms of, the shadings are right, and the lights are right, and whatsoever. But this is actually not the topic of today's video, because today we're going to go ahead with Tim Ferriss' Tools of Titan. And I'm gonna have to calm down a little bit because I'm just shouting around like a dumbass motherfucker. But yeah, I hope. Oh, the screen is actually there, which is amazing, which is totally fucking amazing. It really is. But yeah, I guess I have to make it smaller? Even though I can't, that's nice. But I'm gonna make the window where I can practically see myself a lot smaller so that I can't see my fucking self. But yeah, I think I'm gonna just go ahead. It really feels strange. It really fucking feels strange. But I think I'm gonna like it, I'll just... until I'm just somehow getting used to it a little bit again. But yeah, so we're going ahead with the end of the day routines, because last time we were talking about meditation, if I remember correctly, and morning routines. And the thing that I just really not liked about the morning routines was that they are so fucking short, or they were so fucking short. So I was really interested to see what people are doing. So those successful, those rich, those happy people, what they do on a daily basis. It would just be really interesting. I know there are certain videos about certain people on their just morning routine, or on their just, day routine, if you want to say so. Also, I guess on people like Albert Einstein, and or Tony Robbins, of course. He has put out some content for his morning, and I think also evening or night routine. But it is really interesting to see, how people live their life, whether, they're just waking up pretty early or not. For example, like Jeff Bezos, he's not a person that is just really fucking working up early. Like, he's just waking up, I think it's 8 p.m., and not PM, but AM or 7 AM or something. So it's not that crazy. It really is not. But on the other hand, there are so many people, that are really successful, but also just some quote-unquote regular people. They do just, get up at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Jocko Willink, for example, the author of Extreme Ownership, he's, I guess, if I remember correctly, waking up at 4:35 or something in that area, if I remember correctly at least. which is not insane, which is at my point of view great, because I like it a lot. I really like it a lot myself, because it just really feels good. I do not want to wake up at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. or something. I do just not want to do that, Also on the weekends, I'm sometimes actually thinking about waking up very, very early, because I want to do fucking shit. I want to do stuff. I want to get done some things. But on the other hand, I do just really have to just keep attention to my health and to how I'm feeling as well. There's always a debate in my fucking head about, okay, whether I'm just doing what my brain wants and what my emotion wants, or what my body wants. Because sometimes they're exact the opposite. Sometimes, it's not that often, fortunately, it is not that often, that I'm just really having to debate with myself. But sometimes I am, and then I just, somehow should go with my health, because this is more important than actually feeling good about the day being just, productive. If I'm not feeling good, there will never be any productive days any longer, because, who knows what's going to happen. But yeah, I'm going ahead with the summary from, by the way, the alancheng.com website, which is an amazing, amazing website. It really fucking is. So never go to sleep without a request to your subconscious, from Thomas Edison. Reid Hoffman gives his mind an overnight task, like a product design, strategy, or a problem. He lets his subconscious mind get to work. What are the kinds of key things that might be constrained on a solution, or might be the attributes of a solution, and what are tools or assets I might have? End the workday with very high quality. Don't develop bad habits. Hemingway ended his writing sessions mid-flow and mid-sentence, so he could start with momentum the next day, which is actually, at my point of view, a great way to actually kind of, attack work. You just really kind of force yourself on the next day to start in the middle of your whole work. To some degree, it could be bad. But on the other hand, I do just really think it is good, because you then clearly know, okay, this is what I've written yesterday, so I'm gonna just have to attach something to it. And I think this just feels better than if you're ending the sentence and then having to start the next day with a new one, because it somehow feels for me like, I don't know if you can actually relate to this or not, but somehow it feels to me like, okay, you just have to come up with something completely new. Which is not that easy, which really is not that easy. But if you're just ending it midway, you somehow know, okay, this sentence ended this way, in the middle, and then you just kind of end the whole sentence. Like you end the sentence regularly, and then you just get a flow. At least this is what I feel, and this is what I think about. I don't know, it would just be really interesting what you think. Just put it down into the comments. Or just, text me on various social media platforms, so Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever you like, whatever is most convenient to you. Tim Ferriss has an end of the day journal. 3 amazing things that happened today, and how could I have made today better? Which is, I think, at my point of view, also very important. I'm not doing it. Unfortunately, I'm not really doing it. But I do feel like it makes sense, because you somehow reflect on a day and see, okay, this is something that I've liked, so therefore maybe tomorrow I'm going to do the same because I've liked it the other day. Or okay, what have I done not so good, and how could I actually do it better? And yeah, it just makes sense. You just reflect on a day and you see what you have done good or what you have done bad, quote unquote, because, I do not feel like, okay, there's something bad in a day. There's only something you haven't been doing just that great today, I guess. But yeah, I guess, this is just really a way to improve yourself. And also, maybe do not forget things, which is actually something that I struggle with to some degree. I'm forgetting so many fucking things. Sometimes it is not important, not at all. And sometimes it is important, So yeah, like it's something I could just complain about, or it could just be fucked about, or it could be just something completely like, I don't care. But let's go ahead with solve the easy problem. Are you struggling today? Are you struggling day to day with your problem? Take some time to think about how you can simplify it, or to do the same thing but get a 10x greater reward. Reid Hoffman, which is I think actually the second time he appears in this summary, but I guess he's actually one of the people that are going to be there way more often. So, if I remember correctly at least. So Reid Hoffman suggests part of business strategy is to solve the simplest, easiest, and most valuable problem. Makes sense. Really makes sense. And I do think that a lot of people, not in terms of actually just, making a strategy, or not necessarily in terms of business, do somehow attack those things that do not quite matter. Like, often, there are so many things, and a lot of them are actually distracting you from the thing that is really mattering, or the thing that really matters. And this could then be just, somehow bad, because then you just really waste a lot of time with actually taking care of something that is not that important. For sure, it's to some degree, maybe it is important, because if it wasn't, you would probably not do it. But to some degree, of course, it is distracting you for something that might be way more important. But, this reminds me a lot on their one thing, the book is called, which has actually a great cover. I really like it, from a design perspective on. But yeah, this book talks basically about only just taking care and only keeping attention to the one thing that actually matters. And I think it is a great approach, even though for me it's not something that is quite how I live my life and how I want to do things, because I really like doing a lot of things at the same time. I do not want to only make YouTube videos. I also want to do my posts. And I do not only want to do my posts, I also want to do my YouTube videos. And also the podcast. I like just juggling things. I like juggling situations, juggling tasks that I'm doing. I really like it. I don't know why, but, for me, it's not something I wouldn't do it. I really wouldn't do it. And this just really underlines that, no matter what a book says, or no matter what a person says, you do just always have to ask yourself whether this is suiting your problem, or whether this is suiting your life or not. If it is not, maybe you just have to change it up, or just, just change it up to such an degree that you can actually do it, or you just completely don't do it because it maybe doesn't make sense for your life or for yourself. But always ask yourself whether it is actually something that just is fitting you. We are all individuals, and no matter what is saying, it could suit you, or it could totally not suit you. Maybe sometimes you're thinking it won't suit you, but it does actually, because you're not really honest to yourself. And sometimes it really doesn't. And, just something you do just have to kind of evaluate, I guess. Seth Godin tells a story, and I love Seth Godin, by the way, tells a story of a designer, Lynn Gordon, who had trouble getting business for toy designs. When she switched to the book designs, she got a hit with her 52 activity card deck series. Well, this is actually an easy problem. The problem only was where she was working, or in which kind of area she was working, because clearly it was design. Also making this book, it has something to do with design. Maybe there are also some things that's just, are really correlated to toy designs. Today, talking is not that easy somehow. Maybe I'm only way too kind of pumped. Maybe to kind of forcing myself to actually make a good episode. Maybe I should just talk, because I'm clearly kind of thinking about making a good episode. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I actually shouldn't. Yeah. What would this look like if it were easy? Justin Boretta asks this when he's stuck. Would be boring. Often. This is at least what I think. I'm weirdly a person that is actually putting himself into just really difficult situations, quite, on purpose somehow. I don't know. I quite do not want to say that I just like the struggle and like being stuck and not getting forward or something. I clearly don't do this. I don't like this. I do just I don't know, maybe I appreciate the process, and maybe I appreciate challenges and things that I haven't done. So, and I don't know, like the last design that I've done in school was actually some post stamps, and I've actually done them like all the posts that I'm doing every single day. And, you know, as I've been finishing them and as I've been just ready with them, actually kind of, giving it to my teacher to actually kind of be like, okay, you know, I'm finished. Well, up to this point, I totally thought like, okay, you know, those post stamps are actually pretty great. You know, I like them, just on a design perspective or in a design perspective, and I just still like them to some degree. You know, some parts of it might be maybe not that interesting or not that aesthetic or not that nice for me, because basically what I've been doing with them is just what I'm doing every single day. So it's a little bit boring. And also, I don't know, like, I'm just thinking whether I've just liked an project more that I potentially would have failed, but it would have been interesting whether, if I'm actually able to do it, how well I'm able to do it, and whatsoever. So just to see and just to try new things and to just challenge myself. But, you know, in the end, it somehow was very unsatisfying. Like doing those, they've been great, but they've just been like every single post that I'm putting out there to some degree, not completely. I've also been challenging me in this project to some degree to not make it just really easy for me, or to not make it just really kind of like everything that I'm putting out there. But in the end, it wasn't as satisfying, I guess, as just some other projects where I've been just trying something new, or maybe just been doing something else and not the thing that I've been always doing. I take this to mean to look for areas you can apply your skills that are much bigger, or solve the easier problem that unlocks the bigger market, or find a way to simplify your life to focus on the 80-20 rule, which basically means, okay, 80% of the things take 20% of the time, which also means that 20% of the things take 80% of the time, which is actually, and I like this kind of example, if you're tidying up your room, and if you're having just everything laid on the fucking floor, everything, with Lego and with every single game you have and all the CDs you have, it's gonna take 20% of the time to actually make your room feel and look somehow tidied up. It's gonna take 20% of the time. But it's gonna take 80% of the time to actually just really make it completely clear. Like clear the whole floor, just also kind of, vacuum your whole floor and your whole room. And also, just take a sponge and clean everything and whatsoever. It's gonna take such a long time. It really would. And it really does. I've been actually cleaning today, bath and the toilet and whatsoever. And, I really like this example. I do think that it is fitting this kind of just rule or this kind of thinking pretty well. Be your unapologetically weird self. Many titans, especially those in entertainment, praised authenticity. People crave realness and connection, and being yourself will feel or find the audience that likes you for you. Don't be afraid to differ from common sense or society's expectations to be yourself. Be your unapologetically weird self, from Chris Sacca. And I also think people really like realness, and people really like to see just the real deal and the real person, how this person is really like. I guess maybe this is also one of the reasons why people like vlogs or why people like reality TV, because they just, see the people as they are, not as just some roles or some, actors, in terms of actually being in their roles and whatsoever. So I really believe in it as well. I really do. And, I'm just thinking about, whether I'm actually agreeing with way too much things that are actually in this book. But it is quite difficult to say, because it is actually the case that I'm believing in what there is. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I really don't, and I'm actually going to say it. Like, for example, one of Ryan Holiday's books that I've been actually talking about, I think in in the process of this summary as well, has just put out one of these books that I thought like, okay, one part of the book is definitely not something that I'm going to suggest to people or I'm going to tell people to do because I'm not believing in it. And, something that I just really, truly and honestly just have to think about and keep attention to, because I do not really want to put out stuff that is not just something that I would tell people or I would suggest to people, Clearly, I do not want to put out something like this. Whitney Cummings found her greatest comedic success in telling her embarrassing moments and allowing a catharsis when her audience connected. Seth Rogen started his stand-up as a teenager trying to imitate other comics. When another comic told him, "Dude, you're the only person here who could talk about trying to get a hand job for the first time. Talk about that." Yeah, it is pretty true. And I think is Seth Rogen. There's this really famous podcast and also YouTuber who also has his last name called Rogan. Is it John Rogan, Seth Rogen? Because he was also a comedian, as I know, as far as I know. And he has also, been doing sports and whatsoever. So actually I think MMA professionally, but I'm not sure, take it with a grain of salt, please. Keto purposely wore darker robes than was customary and by wearing no tunic. As expected, he was ridiculed and he wanted to train himself to be ashamed only of things that are truly worth being ashamed of. Which is actually important, I guess, because I think a lot of people just value opinions of other people way, way, way too high. The thing that I'm seeing is that, when somebody is going up to you or coming up to you and is being like, okay, you're looking shit. People won't like it. People really don't. And some people, and also me, I guess, to some degree, people are taking it way too seriously, or maybe they kind of just actually take it. Like, they take this criticism, they take this kind of bad words or things that other people say, even though they don't know you. They really don't know you. No one knows you, actually. Like, no one knows what's going on in your head. And what's going on in your head is definitely something that's just something that's really making up for your character, making up for you as a person. And this is, the reasons why I say, okay, if someone, and this is actually something from Gary Vee, is someone just know what nobody knows you, because nobody just is in your head but you. And I clearly see it with myself as well. Like, sometimes I'm really taking the criticism and really just I'm not believing in it. I'm not necessarily believing it, but I do believe that, if some people say to you something, so often, just every single day, multiple times, I do think to some degree you're gonna think it is actually going to be the case, or that it is actually the case. And this just really makes sense for me, because if Gary Vee actually is being asked about self-doubt and not believing in yourself, he always says, these are just some voices, or this is just a voice that got implemented into your head by somebody else saying something like, you can't do that, or something like, you are not good at this, or you will never be successful in that area. And it somehow makes sense to me, because if people are saying this to you constantly, all the fucking time, for sure it's gonna be hard to not believe in it, to really not just think about it and not believe in it. And it just makes sense that, okay, these things that you're going to just, tell yourself, or these things that you're telling yourself, like, I'm not good at this, I will never succeed, all this stupid, fucked up shit, it just makes sense that these are just voices from some other people. Voices from some other people that, I don't know, maybe they're just having so a miserable life that they just really have to get down other people. Just please be not such a person. This is just the point that I'm just willing to make. Please don't be such a person. Be a person that's actually elevating the happiness, the mood, just the other person, just be such a friend that is being nice to your friend. I'm not saying that you should never make any jokes, for sure. Just making some jokes and so is definitely fine. Like, it's funny, also making fun of you or other people to some degree is funny. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm not gonna be just, so, I don't know, kind of, critical about everything or whatsoever. It is fun to some degree, but I think you should also just keep attention to what you're saying, how your tonality is, and all those things. All things just really matter. Communication is something that's incredibly difficult and something incredibly strange as well, I would say. And still this episode just feels a little bit weird. It really feels weird. I don't know why. It really does. It's actually one of the episodes in a very long time where I've actually not been quite able to speak in an appropriate way or in a proper way. At least I feel like this, but I also know that I should actually not be the judge of myself. Maybe this is actually going to be this one episode that's going to kick off my whole entire YouTube career. Could actually be the case. Who knows? It's potentially it could always just be today. It could always just be tomorrow. It could be the next day. It could be every single moment potentially. In the pilot of his TV, what's going on today? TV show, Andrew Zimmern could have made fun of a Japanese restaurant's name translated to morning erections, but he stuck to his guns and stayed respectful, which set the tone of his entire show. It is so much less work just to be yourself. Which is actually true. Like, I kind of believe that if you're constantly kind of changing who you are, changing your personality, talking in another way, just not being yourself, must be very hard. Must be extremely kind of difficult because, I don't know, you're not yourself. And it's just really, I think, exhausting, not being yourself. Like, be who you are. It's totally fine. And if, people are like, you're just bad and whatsoever, those are haters. Maybe, which is also something that I have to say, if all the people that you're annoying, all the people, your mother, your father, every single person is telling you, okay, you are not a nice person. This is not really some critiques any longer. This is not some feedback any longer. This is just the truth then, I guess. I do also think that saying something like, okay, whatever people are telling you is just shit and you should never kind of listen to them and whatsoever. To some degree, of course, it is true. And to some degree, I'm also telling it to other people. But to some degree, I also have to say, it's gonna be just the truth. If you're really a fucked up person, then you just maybe have to kind of realize it. And people are telling you, and people, I don't know, like, are really trying to tell you. I hope you understand what I'm actually talking about. So early in his radio show, Glenn Beck spent 15 minutes sharing his biggest mistakes and his past as an alcoholic in response to a caller who said he was Mr. Perfect. Glenn thought his career was over, but realized people are starving for something authentic. Josh Wetskin says being world-class requires embracing your eccentricity and building on it. John Favreau, maybe it's French, I don't know, believes, I don't go for funny. Don't go for funny, go for the truth, and you'll hit funny along the way. I'm not a comedian, but it somehow makes sense to me. Brian Johnson, Braintree founder, sold credit card processing door to door by walking them through his pitch book. I'm the same as everyone else, except with me, you get honesty and transparency and great customer support. He won by offering honesty in a broken industry with shady practices. I actually truly believe that this just was working because, I don't know, even though just saying it like this, I don't know if so many people will believe in it. Even though, if you're being transparent, you also have to be transparent with being transparent. Like, okay, I'm gonna say like, okay, I'm going to be transparent with you. I'm gonna tell you everything that I'm kind of just feeling you need to know or need to hear. I don't know, like, I feel like if you're being so direct to people, they won't believe in you. They really won't. Maybe because we are all so negative, we all just think everyone's going to just take an advantage of us or something, you know? And the last thing is, Dan Carlin suggests copywriting your faults. Radio producers complained about him going into the red in the recording meter, but he claimed that as his style. So Dan Carlin suggests copywriting your faults. Radio producers complain about him going into the red in the recording meter. So I'm also... What the hell? I'm also having such a recording meter, as they just refer to it, which is just some bar. I'm always seeing it, I'm always monitoring it so that I actually can see, okay, the audio is working. Okay, I'm not too loud, I'm not too silent, or quiet actually. And yeah, being in the red, I'm also often in the red. Sometimes I'm just, recognizing that, my audio is a little bit too, loud. I'm shouting a little bit too much. But yeah, this is a meter. It goes from, mine goes from red and white over green, which is actually, I think, the good area, to yellow and red. Red seems not to be good, even though I feel like green is also not that nice. It actually in the yellow area is the best spot. As I know, it's minus 12 dB is the best spot to record on, because I actually don't know. I just always heard it in some tutorials about post-production and whatsoever. And yeah, it really matters how you record your stuff. Post-production is fine. It works to some degree, and you can just really repair certain things in your audio that you have just fucked up. But you can't just make an entire new episode out of the thing that you just, recorded. Yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna end this somehow interesting episode. Maybe I do just have to eat something. I don't know. I'm just pretty hungry, to be honest. I don't know why it was actually pretty hard and pretty unsatisfying today to actually make the episode, in terms of actually me not being able to speak that properly. But I still wish you the best health, wealth, happiness, and success, and I hope that you've gotten something out of this. And yeah, I still hope that you're going to just really remind yourself on how you're going to be remembered, which means how you just, going to be remembered, your legacy. Whether you're going to be remembered as a good person or as a bad person, you actually decide. It's totally in your hands. And with that being said, I see you the next time.